Update for March 2nd. So, this morning is terrible. Yesterday morning, when I first opened my eyes, yeah, I was shaking and my nervous system was bad, but my GI was a little better. But as soon as I got to 5, 6 a.m. or moved the first muscle of the day, it came back intensely. Today, though, I woke up with intense pain. I don't really want to talk about this too much, but after 25 years of health issues, I better. I woke up in urine as well. It was very cold too. It was freezing, freezing cold because I no longer can lift and close windows or get up or sit down or stand for more than 3 minutes. So I have to try to rely on my roommate to do these things, but he needs sleep too. So it was freezing cold most of the night, and I'm in urine, and I need to clean up, and I'm in extreme pain, and my kidneys are swollen, and my GI is swollen, and I can't stand up, and I'm hurting, and I'm covered in urine. So I wake my roommate up, and I ask him if he can close that window that is wide open so we don't get sick from the mold, and turn the heat up for me, and I'll try to bend and reach my arm out to my emergency don't die heater. Yes, I have a special heater that I keep always with me or always near me, or I always have something as an emergency heat source so I don't die. By the way, with all this going on, it's on video. There's pictures of me bleeding into my testicles. There's pictures of black urine coming out of me. There is a record of 25 years of injuries. There's doctors with coordination issues. There's me being found and scraped off the cement frozen. There's me living in the woods. There's me getting stitched up in the face. And there was a lot of fights, but there was only like 2 fights in my whole life where I ever got really injured or at all. Meanwhile, I have hundreds of injuries recorded. And I always tell them if it's a fight, I tell them it's a fight. If it's not a fight, I tell them it's not a fight. But see, when a doctor doesn't want to really do their job, they go with whatever's easiest for them, even if the evidence is to the contrary. If you're bleeding into your testicles and it seems like there's been a dripping in your GI because you've been complaining about a GI feeling for about 6 months, and all of a sudden your testicles fill with blood. If it's easier for them to say, oh, I've never dealt with this, go, I don't know who you see, get out of here. Oh, well, I'm not your regular doctor. That's easier than actually trying to work with you, get other doctors in there. There's so much that can be done, but doctors choose not to do it for many reasons, not just the reason that it makes their job easy. But this is the big mistake in life. Everybody wants everything handed to them and they want it easy. But that's going to cause other people to get hurt. That's why you never ask for your life to be easy and you never try to make your life easy. No, you ask for strength and you do stuff that makes your life easier. And that's a big difference. Avoiding your job and trying to do less work because it makes your life easier could have consequences for other people. And when you are done living your 100 years of life or 50 years of life or whatever, you will have to see from other people's point of views, and you will be judged accordingly. Now, I can't tell you if there's heaven or hell. I've only been in between during these comas. All I got to see was a black space and this whitish bluish orb that summoned a person with a clipboard to talk to me. That was one of them. That was while I was unconscious after a seizure, bleeding all over the wall, ceiling, and floor. What I can still show you, I still have the blood stain on the wall because I hit my head so bad that it did a whole shake flip thing, I guess. I wasn't conscious for it. But you can see how the blood squirted. The other one was when I was frozen to death at the Riverwalk, and my temperature apparently was in the 70s, according to the doctors on the paperwork, and they pronounced me dead, but they were able to bring me back, I guess. Or maybe the staff were just fucking with me. They're very good at that. Medical professionals like screwing with the homeless, that's for sure. Anyways, on that one, I also went to this dark space, and I also had visions while dreaming, unconscious, and I guess a coma, maybe. I don't know what you call that when you're frozen to death, or when you have a seizure, hit your head, and then blood goes everywhere. But anyways, and this has been happening for so long where I've fallen. Now, not all of them do I hit my head or end up with these dreams. Most of the time, I go unconscious or I just shake there in pain. And then I go to a doctor and they laugh at me. Pretend like it's a mental illness that I can't feel anything and I'm dropping stuff for 25 years. Oh, yeah, I've had necrosis of the nerves in my hand. Or I think I might be using the wrong word because I'm the head injury. I don't know. I know the word I want to say. I've looked it up 100 times. I've known it for 15 years. I've known it since my about 20 years old. That the name for the numbness in the skin tips where your hands are and arms and legs and all that. There's a word for that I already know, but thanks to all the head injuries and because nobody's getting me care for 25 years, now I can't use the word. But when I was a child, this happened, and what I used to do is I used to suck on my skin and bite my skin to see if I could figure out why it was different. That was when this first happened to me. I was about 7 years old. I was living in Westford at the time, and I was telling doctors about it, but then I was moved to Texas to cover it up. But anyways, I knew there was something different because one day I could feel my skin in my arms, and then the next day, after my mother did something to me, I lost my vision, I went unconscious, horrible things happened to me. After that, I could no longer feel my skin. Something was different. And so I started sucking and biting and trying to figure it out. Started telling doctors about it, started trying to get help. But after 25 years of no help and nothing but people hurting me and making me worse, yeah, this morning I tried to get out of bed in my piss and I couldn't. I eventually did clean up. I crawled over to my bed. I'm hurting more. Everything got more swollen because I had to force myself to get to the bathroom. So, of course, everything's more swollen. But I also got to force meds and food down. So, I'm trying to do that, but it didn't work so well because I try to have my roommate do most of the work for me. But he's an 83-year-old who's senile, so he can't quite make a piece of toast right. So, with that going on, we both need help, and it's not coming. I should have got it a long time ago. I should have never got to the point where I was 19 in the woods trying to figure out how I'm going to survive shaking, falling all the time. By the way, I barely made it alive out of that. And I did. I did. What I did is I worked real hard and I used alcohol as a crutch. Because alcohol really does numb the nervous system to the point where I didn't shake and I could move a lot more. I could lift, I could move, I could even go out in the cold. But it doesn't warm you up or anything. It just works like Ativan. Ativan does a better job for me. So does Triliptal. But those are the three that work the best. We got benzo family Ativan. We got Triliptal, which for epilepsy, where a lot of the epilepsy medications seem to help me, but I need a prescription. See, I could treat myself if I had a prescription pad, but I don't have one, and the doctors are withholding help. So there are prescriptions out there that could help me, but the doctors are withholding the help. There are wheelchairs out there that could help me, but the doctors are withholding the help. And it's thanks to people's lies and their ignorance as well as their neglect. I've crawled for years. I've had multiple injuries. I got scars all over my face. I have pictures of my testicles filled with blood. I got reports of me being found frozen, and some of this has to do with other things, like me playing around during it. But it doesn't mean that it wouldn't happen to somebody else. And a lot of times they just totally disregard it. Like one time they scraped me off the road on a different road from just going down a flight of stairs and stuff like that. But I told them I had no idea what happened, and usually I don't. All I know is I was crossing the street, looking at the crosswalk and looking at the sign, And there was a nighttime and a lot of bright lights were going by, and I'm waiting for the cars, and then all of a sudden I wake up with one shoe all bloody in the hospital. Now I know what that was, but at the time, they were just well, we found a piece of wood near the scene, so we think somebody beat you and robbed you. I found out later from one of the people that lived in the building, I was flopping like a fish on the ground, is what he said. Interesting. So instead of anybody robbing me, I flopped like a fish, and my shoe was just left someplace else. So one shoe came with me in the ambulance, and another shoe ended up staying. And the police did absolutely nothing to investigate. Meanwhile, there are 8 people watching this from a window. I don't know how many of those people actually saw, but when I talked to one individual, he goes, everybody was watching. Everybody knew. I mean, you got a bar right there, and you were just going down a flight of stairs, hanging out in one of these people's apartments, and these are studios, so there's nothing to do, and half these people don't have room for a TV. But back to this morning. This morning, I tried to get an egg in me, and I blew up my kidneys harder, and I'm hurting more. My roommate tried to help. He really can't. He needs my help. And the state and doctors are withholding help, or they'll get angry or vindictive about me being hurt and upset about this going on for 25 years, and then they'll probably just force pain onto me. Instead of helping me, they'll say, well, we'll help you, watch this. And then I'll be crippled and die in their care. Just watch. Mark my words that this could happen. There's a lot of people out there that like to do this. They go up to a guy on a wheelchair and they say, I'll help you down the stairs, and then they push them down the stairs. And that is a metaphor for what I keep on seeing vindictive people do when you ask for help. You ask them for help, they circle up and make fun of you. You ask them for help, they put you in the hospital and cripple you. You ask for help, they put you in the hospital, hold you down, and give you your 12 o'clock meds twice. Once at 12 o'clock and then once at 12:30. Why do they do this? Because it's Christmas time. You have a candy cane and no teeth, and you're eating it, and your roommate wants to play a game. And the game is he's going to make up stories to the staff outside. And you have no idea what's going on because you're eating a candy cane by yourself. But this has happened twice in my life where a kid has wanted to play a game, and then the staff members play the game. Now, the first time I was in an orphanage at age 5, and the staff member didn't know what she was doing. She was young and naive. But in Lowell, when I was about a teenager and this happened to me, she knew exactly what she was doing. She knew exactly what she was doing. She was trying to hurt me on purpose. This vindictive woman had the most evil grin when she saw me in pain, too. Anytime any of the kids were in pain. When somebody, like one kid was in a cast, when they were trying to reposition him in a chair and he was in excruciating pain, we almost wanted to cry for the kid. She was smiling, watching. Her face went from a plain face to a big smile. This woman liked to see children in pain, and yet her job is to work with children in a hospital, a psych hospital. And by the way, I was in this psych hospital because I did the scientific method. I got a book of matches, and I thought slugs were fireproof. I was thinking about making like a jacket that might be like fireproof or fire extinguisher. I didn't really know what I was thinking at the time, but I thought that there might be something really cool here. Plus, I never really had the ability to speak on some of those meds. I was really foggy, and I was getting drugged all the time. There were times where I would drool, pass out, vomit, and then when I stopped the meds, I got a lot better with that stuff. Obviously, when you're giving people Thorazine, opiates, you're ODing them at age 7, you're giving them all different types of, oh my God, the list goes on and on. If you got this list, you would be beside yourself. A 10-year-old taking all that, a 12-year-old taking all that, plus don't forget the Ipecac punishment, don't forget the overdose at age 7, don't forget the pink pills on the plane, don't forget my mother was taking my Vicodin out of the closet. Don't forget that when I decided as a teenager to take my father's Percocet and get high, that I wasn't the only one apparently, and it wasn't my father. He didn't take any of them, and they were expired old ones. Only one other person was taking those. So I went through hell and back. Actually, I'm not back yet. I'm still in hell. I got the damn, can't even make an egg and feed myself. But yes, this is how my life is. This is the end, and I'll keep recording how it is. Hopefully, people can learn from this and not do this to more orphans like me. Well, I'm not an orphan anymore. I've grown up. But this is what happens to children who get taken from their parents and have nobody looking out for them.